Sir Alex Ferguson managed 810 Premier League matches for Manchester United. Out of all those games, he lost only 114. That is not a typo. 810 matches, 114 defeats. For nearly 3 decades, Manchester United were not just successful, they were inevitable. Opponents arrived at Old Trafford already beaten. Fans expected victory as routine, and failure felt impossible. Now here is the uncomfortable truth. Since Ferguson retired in 2013, Manchester United have already lost more Premier League games than that. In almost half the time. That single statistic tells the entire story. Not just about results, but about standards, structure, and identity. This was once the most dominant club in English football, a club that turned pressure into power, a club that thrived in chaos, a club that found ways to win even when playing badly. So how did this happen? How did the most successful club in England fall into a decade of confusion, inconsistency, and decline? This was not bad luck. This was not one bad appointment. This was a slow collapse caused by repeated mistakes. From the boardroom, to the training ground, to the dressing room. Today, we break down exactly how Manchester United fell apart. When Sir Alex Ferguson retired, he did not simply leave a vacancy on the bench. He removed the spine of the club. For more than 25 years, Ferguson controlled everything that mattered. Recruitment decisions, player discipline, training standards, and long-term planning. He was manager, leader, mediator, and final authority. Players knew exactly where they stood before they even signed their contracts. But behind the final Premier League title in 2013, there was a quiet problem, one that few wanted to acknowledge. That squad was aging. Key defenders were slowing down. The midfield lacked legs and creativity, and the next generation was not ready. Ferguson saw this. He understood the limitations, and still, he won the league. That final title did not represent a healthy squad. It represented overachievement. It was experience squeezing out one last triumph. It masked the cracks beneath the surface, cracks that would widen immediately once he left. When Ferguson retired, those cracks became visible overnight. The first decision after his departure would define the next decade. David Moyes was appointed as his successor. Moyes was respected, hardworking, and honest. But he had never won a major trophy, never managed elite players, never commanded a dressing room of champions. He inherited legends. Without inheriting authority, this was not continuity. This was uncertainty. Replacing Ferguson required vision, planning, and institutional support. Instead, United replaced a football institution with a manager set up to fail. The aura disappeared, the fear evaporated, and once standards fell, they never fully recovered. After Moyes failed, Manchester United entered a cycle that would become familiar. Short-term fixes, panic decisions, constant resets. Instead of committing to a football identity, the club lurched between opposing philosophies. Louis van Gaal arrived with rigid possession football, slow build-up, strict positioning, heavy structure. Players were retrained to value safety over instinct. Then came Jose Mourinho, whose approach was defensive, reactive, and results first. The squad no longer fit. Creativity clashed with caution. After Mourinho, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer brought emotion and nostalgia, freedom over structure, belief over systems. It worked briefly, but lacked long-term foundations. Then Erik ten Hag arrived, with promises of pressing, control, and discipline. But he inherited players built for entirely different ideas, different rhythms, different expectations, different habits. Each manager lasted roughly 2 years. Each dismissal erased progress. Each rebuild contradicted the last. This meant players signed for one system became liabilities in the next. Recruitment became reactive, driven by urgency, not planning. Manchester United were not building a team. They were endlessly repairing damage. Money was never the problem. Direction was. Since 2013, Manchester United have spent over £1 billion on transfers, comparable to Manchester City. But while City invested with purpose, United collected names. Angel Di Maria arrived as a global star, but never adapted to the league, the city, or the environment. Alexis Sanchez arrived on wages so high that they fractured the dressing room instantly. Suddenly, team harmony disappeared. Jealousy crept in, and standards slipped. Antony was signed for a massive fee, without elite-level output to justify the pressure. These were not football decisions rooted in structure. They were commercial decisions disguised as ambition. Meanwhile, rivals invested in analytics, scouting networks, and positional profiles. United chased headlines, not balance. The result was a squad that looked expensive, but played disconnected. The problems did not stop on the pitch. They started above it, under the Glazer ownership. Manchester United became a commercial powerhouse first, and a football club second. Former executive Ed Woodward once stated that playing performance did not significantly impact commercial revenue. That single mindset explains everything. While rivals hired sporting directors and technical leaders, United allowed bankers and marketers to shape football decisions. No unified sporting vision, no long-term roadmap. Football decisions were fragmented, and without football people leading football strategy, decline became inevitable. As leadership weakened, culture followed. At elite clubs, the badge is always bigger than the player. At post-Ferguson United, that balance shifted. Players realized managers were temporary, but contracts were permanent. This created player power, leaks to the media, public disputes, and fractured trust. At clubs like Bayern Munich or Real Madrid, authority is absolute. At United, authority blurred, standards dropped, accountability faded, and once mediocrity becomes acceptable, recovery becomes painfully slow. Old Trafford itself tells the story. Once known as the Theatre of Dreams, it became a symbol of stagnation. Water leaking through the roof, outdated facilities, training technology frozen in time, a proud structure, slowly decaying. Even returning legends noticed it, commenting that nothing had changed, while the rest of football evolved. Manchester United did not collapse overnight. It took 10 years of poor decisions to dismantle what was built over decades, and rebuilding will not be quick. The arrival of Ineos and Sir Jim Ratcliffe offers cautious optimism, but optimism alone is not enough. True recovery will only come if football decisions lead the club again. Not marketing, not sentiment, not nostalgia, not panic, structure, patience, discipline, accountability. The question now is simple. Do you believe Manchester United will win the Premier League again in this decade? Or has the empire truly fallen? Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to this channel. Thank you.